In Allgeyer v. Louisiana, the United States Supreme Court evaluated the constitutional limits of a state's police power to regulate out-of-state contracts. A Louisiana state law prohibited Louisiana corporations from doing business with out-of-state marine insurance companies that hadn't complied with the state's insurance regulations. Allgeyer and Company, a Louisiana-based cotton exporter, entered a contract in New York with a New York marine insurer, the Atlantic Mutual Insurance Company. The contract insured cotton bales Allgeyer shipped from New Orleans to the United Kingdom and Europe. Atlantic Mutual didn't employ an agent in Louisiana or otherwise comply with the state's marine insurance laws. Louisiana fined Allgeyer for doing business with a non-compliant insurer. Aside from the temporary presence of the cotton bales in a New Orleans port, the only aspect of the insurance contract that occurred in Louisiana was Allgeyer's mailing of a letter to Atlantic Mutual advising it when the insured cotton bales were shipped. Allgeyer argued that the fine unconstitutionally deprived it of its property without due process of law and denied it the equal protection of the laws. The trial court agreed that the law was unconstitutional, but the Louisiana Supreme Court reversed and sustained the fine. The United States Supreme Court accepted the case to evaluate whether the Louisiana law, as applied to a contract entered outside the state, was constitutional. Writing for a unanimous court, Justice Peckham concluded that the law unconstitutionally abridged the freedom of contract protected by the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause. The 14th Amendment guaranteed citizens not only the right to be free from physical restraint, but also protected citizens' economic freedoms, including the right to work. The right to work included the right to freely negotiate and enter contracts necessary to earn a living. But Peckham noted that a citizen's individual liberties may have to give way to the greater rights of society, asserting a well-defined policy designed for promoting the general welfare. Here, Louisiana's policy was to promote compliance with its laws among companies doing business in the state. However, Allgeyer and Atlantic Mutual contracted in New York, and Atlantic Mutual did no business in Louisiana. So Peckham thought the law, as applied to the contract between Allgeyer and Atlantic Mutual, couldn't serve Louisiana's policy. Put simply, a state's police power couldn't extend outside its borders. The 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause guaranteed Allgeyer the right to freely do business outside the state of Louisiana with out-of-state companies. The Louisiana law was unconstitutional because it prohibited Allgeyer from exercising that right. Allgeyer established that the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause guaranteed citizens liberty of contract. Allgeyer marks the beginning of an era in which the Supreme Court commonly struck down state economic regulations as unconstitutional abridgments of substantive due process rights. The era is named for its most famous case, Lochner v. New York, in which the court struck down a state law limiting bakers' working hours.